eventually you get absorbed in, and you are Sonic.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to No Repeat. It's a podcast where every week we pick 3 songs to fit every occasion, situation, celebration that life throws your way. And joining me this evening, my esteemed colleagues, my bandmates, my co-hosts for tonight's celebration, the illustrious Tyler Reed.
Hey everybody, I'm playing the drums tonight. Some little brushwork there.
And the devilishly handsome Sean Evans.
I make sure that when I dry my clothes, I use those Tide beads, except mine are donut flavored. So whenever I walk by, it smells like Fresh Krispy Kremes.
Life hack.
And I'll be your master of ceremonies this evening, Taylor Olmstead, and tonight is a very special night in the No Repeat Lounge. Tyler, what's the theme for this evening's reverie?
This week, we're trying to find the perfect song for being a lounge lizard. Submitted by my Aunt Beth. Thanks, Aunt Beth. Hope you enjoy this one.
I've been looking forward to this one.
Yeah?
Ooh! Been pumped, yes.
Okay.
I love the lounge lizard aesthetic. Find it very interesting. So, for those who aren't familiar, the term lounge lizard essentially speaks to a kind of late night nightclub patron who is a little bit sleazy, maybe. Picture like a dim piano bar, cocktails, probably like a band leader type who's very smooth talking, that kind of thing. Hang on, I want to find the exact etymology of the term. According to TV tropes, the 1960s and 1970s is kind of the era that this became like a tropey thing in popular culture, but it's basically been like a way to simultaneously celebrate and lampoon like lounge bar culture since the jazz era. And there are lots of great like parody versions of this. There's SNL's The Ladies Man. There's all sorts of like smooth talking characters in various films. My personal favorite we'll get to in B-sides. But basically, I just love the kind of like sleazy but also sophisticated kind of like smooth talking quippy one-liner attitude, like almost like the least crime-based film noir ever. Like they're just kind of there to like be a little overly aggressively flirty and sip on martinis. And I love that character trope. I think it's really fun. And I feel like there is a very specific musical aesthetic that goes with it. But you can kind of like remix that aesthetic and use it for different things. So I was excited to see how we all approach this, because the traditional approach would be to pick like a Frank Sinatra or another like crooner, like vocal jazz, piano jazz track. And none of us really went that direction this week.
No. We could have just did a real easy one, a little underhander, and just did a Michael Bublé.
Yes.
Didn't do it.
I would say Michael Bublé is like the enlightened 21st century kind lounge lizard. Like he's still sexy, but he's like sexy in the way that he's
This
gonna
guy.
like treat you nice and buy you organic wine from Whole Foods. Whereas a traditional lounge lizard is gonna send a martini across the bar to you while he's making the eyes. It's a very different thing. But how did you guys approach this? What's your like thinking on this aesthetic? How'd you get to your
I wanted
songs?
to find a loungy song that was modern. I knew it had to be out there. I just had to look for it. And I think I did find it. That's basically what I did. I kind of just skimmed popular music right now to find the best fit.
Oh yeah, I think it. Now, to be clear, this isn't gonna give anything away, but like Sean somehow like managed to like find like the perfect song that had just come out within the last few months. Like this is like some like stars aligning type thing, because like I don't think in any other timeline has this like somehow lined up so perfectly. Like this was like like a perfect, just like it like Sean threw his in on like Tuesday, and I was like, all right, well I guess I'm not just gonna go straight up and down on this challenge, so I decided to go off the rails.
And describe your off the rails process.
Sure. So I guess I would say that like what I was thinking was I was like, well, so obviously currently in our world, we are not really doing a whole lot of lounging anyway. And I was thinking about, not just because of the pandemic, but also just sort of like culture in general. And so I was thinking about, well, what's another kind of like lounge? And so I was thinking of like sort of like people hanging out on like Discord and like just talking, and sort of like different like chat forums and stuff like that, and like different ways that like kind of like kids are like, or maybe not, I don't want to say kids, like maybe like 18 to 24-year-olds are kind of interacting now. It's a lot less physical interacting. We're using dating apps all the time to basically make connections. So I felt like I wanted a song that kind of like talked about, just sort of was like a different interpretation on sort of like a flirtatious sort of like kind of like schmoovin kind of conversation, yeah. So like I kind of saw Sean's pick and I saw what Taylor's pick, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna kind of. I just kind of was like, I just was like looking for songs. I was looking for any kind of story, like a different sort of take, or just any sort of extra idea to kind of come up with maybe a different interpretation.
See, for me, this is very cinematic, which you could probably tell from my intro describing it. This is one of those like cinematic tropes that I love, even though it's like very problematic. It's not even mildly weird towards women. It is like openly and aggressively weird towards women. But I do think that like there is something so alluring and fascinating about that character type, and especially the fact that, like Tyler was saying, it kind of doesn't really exist in the same way anymore. Like, you can seek out a place, like a piano bar or something, where you might run into this, but it's not a commonplace thing anymore. And so I really kind of wanted to go with, like, the cinematic nostalgia route for this, and look at, like, how are we looking back on this character type, this type of person? And I also, kind of like Sean, like, backed into a pick that was, like, truly stars aligning, no pun intended, where my song is basically from a concept album about this. So, like, sometimes you just get lucky. But I do think that this aesthetic has a lot of promise, and I think it's due for, like, a kind of third wave feminist revival where, like, it's not about victimizing women and less vulnerable people in bars, but it's more just like, I'm just this smooth talking charismatic person who's here to pump you up and, like, make you feel good, and also, maybe play the piano some, I guess.
Yeah. I think that's I think you really kind of hit an idea that really stuck with me as well, right? Because I think for me, when I was kind of looking things up for this challenge, like, I think I was kind of looking at, like, more like classical songs that would probably be played during the time of, like, the first Lounge Lizards, but I was just kind of like, I don't know. I kind of noticed, I was like, a lot of the songs that I kind of, I would say are sort of like crooning, or sort of like are sort of like being sensual in a way, are the songs I'm kind of listening to right now are very like women from the position of women, or female or woman vocalist or whatever. Like I've noticed that I don't have a lot of men like in like sort of like an R&B style that have really been like sort of in my rotation recently, and I that's probably partially cultural. I think we're just seeing a lot of women just kind of coming in the scene, in any scene in the music world, that are just sort of like kind of sharing their stories, and that's just kind of what people are really resonating with. And I think partially maybe for me, I'm a very like timid and like meek person. I don't really need that sort of like energy to like power me up. Like, it doesn't really do anything for me. It doesn't really like, yeah, I'm gonna go talk to this lady. I'm gonna go ask for her phone number, and I'm like that's not really my, I'm not gonna especially like the original like Lounge Wizard concept was like you're trying to get money from these women at the bar. Like that's like how you are like getting by. So it's a very interesting like character that we're talking about.
I think we just go right into it, and I got some ground to defend, and I just want to fight you guys right now, so I'll go ahead and start.
All right.
Good. You know what? I figured this is gonna be a combative episode. I figured.
Go on then. Go off, King.
All right. So this week I chose "Leave the Door Open" by Bruno Mars, Anderson .Paak, and Silk Sonic. So I discovered this song by going through Spotify's top hits because I figured there's got to be something around there. I feel like there's always this. There's like a Lounge Lizard song that usually is in the top 20, 25 probably in some way, shape, or form that you could work for this challenge. Now I think that you guys are giving me a little bit not enough credit by telling me that I got lucky with this one, like the stars aligned. Spoiler alert. I think I just killed it, and you guys are trying to basically make your songs fit the bill. Because there were other songs that were, I don't know, really good out there that weren't picked. But that's what makes this song work so good, is because it could work equally for the Dos Equis Man as it does with RuPaul. And that's what makes it such a good song. It's such a perfect Lounge Lizard song. It's got all the elements of that, like, smooth R&B sound. Bruno's voice, I don't know why he gets me every time. I'm like, oh my God, I just love listening to you. And it has that amazing bridge where they just do all the vocal harmonies stacked on top of each other. Oh my God. Plus the piano, guys. Come on. I don't even know why you submitted picks for this one. We should just take all 30-second slots and just see what we can squeeze in about a third of this song. I mean, it's so
You're
good.
right. You're right. Episode's over. We're done.
I just want to put it out there that I think there's a lot of like, Sean just got lucky this round. And really what you're saying, and I'm very flattered, is that when I pick early in the week, I'm extremely dangerous. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. When he picks early in the week, he basically sets the tone. Because the rest of the time, I feel like he's waffling and trying to see what we're going to do.
I have no experience there that somehow this has got changed halfway through the week.
But here's the thing about this track. I think this has huge Lounge Lizard energy for 2021. The thing about it as, like, this is not a critique of your choice. This is more of, like, just me being petty, basically. It's a little too Motown. It's a little too, like, true R&B to have been considered a Lounge Lizard song. Like, it's got a lot of, like, Motown, even gospel harmonies in some places, which is what I love about it. But I do think that that would be, like, considered not traditional lounge jazz music by a lot of people. However, I think that's fine. I think this is a great adaptation of that style to the, like, neo-soul revival that we're experiencing right now. I love that it starts in that place with Anderson .Paak just kind of, like, delivering these, like, sexy, like, not quite pickup lines, but basically, like, you up texts.
Oh, it's classic lines.
Like, if you smoke, I got that purple haze. If you hungry, I got fillets. Like, he's laying it all out on the table for this person to come over. He's leaving the door open. And that is very Lounge Lizard. It is very, you know, I'm ready if you are. The champagne's cold. The fillets are on the grill. I just got out of the bath. I'm in my robe. Like, it's almost like James Bond energy, except without all the violence.
Yeah.
And I love that. as far as the track itself, I think the incredible vocals really make up for what is otherwise kind of a standard instrumentation.
Oh my god, you were so beefing and giving me these academic critiques, and then immediately coming back and saying like, well, I think it's great.
There is nothing bad about it. No, just let me finish.
Just
let me
it be
finish.
good.
Like, I don't think that anybody on here is doing anything that's like revolutionary, but I don't think they need to, because it's all about the cool. And that's the thing that I like love, honestly, about Anderson .Paak's drumming, is I feel like he has so much soul in his drumming. Like, he is so expressive, even if he's just playing basic patterns. And that's what I think makes this song a success, is it's not trying too hard to be something it's not. Like, it has a lot of personality, a lot of interesting moments to it, even though it's building on building blocks that you've heard 100 times. Like, if you've heard Motown before, you've heard a lot of this, but they're doing it so well. Like, so well. And I have to applaud them for that. It's really impressive. Those vocal harmonies get me every time.
Yeah, just to be clear, I think this is a great pick. This is incredible. I don't, whatever. I think all I'm saying, what I mean to say was that this was just a song that I like literally everyone was talking about for like a week. Like, I saw it like nonstop, and it's just like, and there's a good reason, right? Because it's got a lot of star power. It's got, the golden boy Bruno Mars, who for the most part I consider to be just cheesy as hell most of the time. I don't personally love most of Bruno Mars's like original stuff, but like I think it kind of works here where it's like it's cheesy, but like kind of like I think this combination adds a sort of swagger to it that I think is really nice, really refreshing. You feel like he's gonna take you home and he's gonna treat you right. I think that's that's clearly the vibe they're going for here, right? And Anderson .Paak, which has been just on fire, for the last like few years, right? Just an incredible drummer and just musician in general. But I mean, I think what's just so funny is it's like this came out of nowhere. It just somehow just a slam dunk of a song that's just like everyone's like, yeah, what, you know what, we bring a Motown back, baby, we bringing it back. And you know what, that's the kind of song that I love, because I feel like Bruno Mars did this back, Uptown Funk, it didn't have as much of a big of a splash for me personally. I think this is honestly better than that, but
way more exciting. I agree.
Yeah, and I think really this is particularly exciting for me because I think this is a song that, like, a few years ago, I would be like, this gets me into Motown. Like, I'm kind of like, let's listen to some Motown. And I think that's kind of the really, at the very least, the beneficial part of having songs that sort of, like, bring back the past is that they can really, like, invigorate a new sound, a new genre, and really, like, have people create digging for those classics and sort of unearthing stuff that maybe people hadn't heard before. So, yeah, I mean, obviously this fits the bill for the challenge in every conceivable manner. I will also see that, maybe not 100%. It's like a 99% for like, oh, well, technically it's more Motown, less jazz, which is not like lounge jazz. Like, that's fine. I agree with that. But like, it's smooth, it's sexy, it's slick. I'll go home with Bruno.
He just shaved. He's smooth like a newborn.
The pool's warm. I'm ready. I love a warm pool. I want to get mine out of the way because I'm, frankly, it's gonna be cringe and I'm embarrassed.
Oh, all right. Come through,
Great.
Tyler. What do you have?
This week I chose "We Date" by City Girl with Tiffy and Chopin Low.
I know we got our things to do, but my days are better when we're doing nothing with you. My duo all time, all night, laughing on my FaceTime. We may talk fictional, but you're my real life.
I could take you out sometime, but you will come sit on my Spotify. Baby, I've been saving for that one-way flight, but for now let's play a game and kill some time. I said cool, it's a weekday. I can kick your ass in bowling, that's an instant replay. Ooh.
So this is "We Date." This came off on City Girl's Seagirl album. Believe I've talked about City Girl, at least on this podcast in some capacity. Definitely one of my favorite sort of lo-fi chill beat artists. And this album, Seagirl, sort of like takes sort of the City Girl brand and sort of like freshens it up, gives it a whole new sort of sound where she brings on a bunch of different vocalists and just produces this sort of like really sort of smooth and silky vocal performances, and just and City Girl is like already great, like smooth, silky guitar playing on top of it, and sort of makes these sort of really, really nice pop songs just really great. I think that City Girl was always a good artist that was just dying to have vocalists be done on top of, because it's already great sounds, great atmosphere, great guitar work. And so We Date is about these two characters, we can say whatever, and they're sort of talking about that their we date that they're going to go on, they're going to hit him with that upbeat. And so what I think what's just kind of fun is kind of what I was talking about in the intro, is that I think that a lot of relationships, especially like things that I'm kind of involved in, like especially like gaming circles, like lots of people just hang out on Discord and just like sort of talk, and I feel like a lot of relationships can kind of come out of that. And so I wanted to I thought this song sort of like captured that sort of mentality of like, long distance, or just even just someone you're kind of flirting with just on the internet, right? Like there's definitely people that I've like talked to that have been like, oh, hey, this person's cute, I like their art or whatever, I'll DM them and we'll talk, nothing ever happens, but I'm still like, oh, they're so cute. And so like, I don't know, I just think that this song sort of like, has a very sort of innocent approach to it. Maybe it's a little more relationship-y than Lounge Lizard-y, but like, I feel like there's definitely some sort of like sleaziness, some sort of like slight danger to sort of just like talking to dudes on the internet, and then like, you fly across the country and end up being a big dumpster. And so, I don't know, I just think that this song, it's smooth, it's cute, it's a little different, that's fine.
I think this is a fun postmodern take. Instrumentally, we're pretty far out of the realm of lounge jazz, which you acknowledged. But vocally, it feels right. It has that, like, a song composed of one-liners thing that a lot of, like, that style of jazz has. It's essentially pickup lines set to music.
Yeah.
And I love the line in here about, like, waking up with the person still on FaceTime from the night before. Like, that feels like a very 2020 equivalent of, like, the picking up somebody at a bar. It's a little cutesy for the challenge, which, again, you acknowledged, but for the song itself, I love that. This song is absolutely adorable. And, I don't know, I saw this TikTok today, because it's, as we record this, it's the last weekend of June. It's kind of like the big send-off for Pride. And it was an older gay guy showing clips of some teenage gays like being cute together on TikTok. And he was really emotional and talking about how, like, even when he was a kid in the early 2000s, like, that wasn't possible for him. And hearing a song like We Date makes me think about that kind of thing, of, like, that young love that, like, some of us get to experience and some of us don't, but this is the, like, 2020 Gen Z equivalent of, like, the, laying on your couch, watching your DVD box set of Friends, which may or may not be a thing that I did on a date in high school. Like, it's cute, it's a little innocent, but it's fun. I think you achieved what you were trying to achieve, in that you're, like, really trying to push this concept as far as you can. That being said, you're a little outside the box on this one, but I admire the effort.
Thank you. It's okay. I acknowledge it. Now I'm ready for the burn. Ready for the smackdown. Ready for Sean to say.
Also, the Smash Bros. Samples are very on point for you.
Well, that's exactly right. Tyler picked a song that was a very good song. That is a song that is very Tyler. And and as somebody who does this all the time, I get it. I know how that feels. But it didn't meet the challenge. It doesn't. Nope. it didn't work. You did a lot of, like, kind of, oh yeah, sure. Well, if you look at it, you do this, or any of you, like, shine the light on it like this, in the shadow. Then the shadow, that's Lounge Lizardy. You see how it's the modern take of it is Lounge Lizardy. So
This is like Plato's allegory of the lounge.
Like, let's
Grad
just be
school
clear.
joke.
I have no problem with just picking a literal song that they probably would have played in a lounge during that time period. I could go there. I've been in that darkness for a long time. I've picked like 5 sleepy songs in the last like couple months. I know.
We admire your efforts to branch out. However,
this was the exact time I should have done it. You're right.
I think if this challenge was, what would a modern interpretation of a Lounge Lizard song be, you would have really nailed it, and I would have not nailed it. But it's not. It was Song for a Lounge Lizard.
I mean, to be fair, like we said, Motown doesn't count. That means
That's
Taylor's
all right.
song really isn't gonna count.
The academic hammer is going to go down on Taylor.
Also
so
invalidated.
Fine.
Segue into his beautifully right here.
Bunked. Everybody get bunked except for Sean this week. That's fine. It's a hard challenge.
This week I chose Star Treatment by Arctic Monkeys.
On a barge floating down the endless stream of great TV. 1984, 2019. Maybe I was a little too wild in the 70s. Rocket ship grease down the cracks of my knuckles. Karate bandana, warp speed cheek. Hair down to there. Impressive mustache. Love came in a bottle with a twist of cap. Let's all have a swig and do
Star Treatment is the opening track off of Arctic Monkeys' 6th album, Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino, a concept record about a hotel and casino on the moon. This is kind of the thesis statement of the album, where Alex Turner, the lead singer of Arctic Monkeys, who received a piano for his 30th birthday, decides he wants to be a lounge singer in space. That is basically the origin story of this album. He decided to stop playing guitar, start playing piano, and become the space lounge man. I realize this is a absurd premise, and I absolutely hated it when it came out in 2018. Could not stand it. It was a total departure from their like grungy pub rock sound. But this song in particular has stuck in my craw in a way that I can't stop thinking about. It's so intoxicating. It feels like being 4 drinks deep in a cocktail lounge. And Alex Turner has always had this really great, like, bassy voice and a talent for writing really quippy lyrics. And he just pushes that as far as he can possibly take it on this song. I'm going to quote some of these lines for you. The opening line is, "I just wanted to be one of the Strokes," which, like, who hasn't thought that? And then you have, "Everybody's on a barge floating down the endless stream of great TV, 1984, 2019. Maybe I was a little too wild in the 70s. They've got a film up on the wall and it's dark enough to dance. What do you mean you've never seen Blade Runner?" But the best line in this song, absolutely unquestioningly, is the chorus line. "So who you gonna call? The Martini Police?" Which is perhaps the most Lounge Lizard thing you could ever say. As I sit here and sip my gin martini and listen to this song, I just feel like I want to be in this space bar. I want to go to Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino and listen to Arctic Monkeys just serenade me as I sit and stare into the bottom of my martini glass and wonder what my life has become, that I'm drinking alone on the moon. It has this forlornness, this weird echo. I love the affected guitar that comes in at the end to kind of modernize it and make you remember that, oh yeah, Arctic Monkeys is still a rock band. Like, I don't know, there's something about this song that just feels like a modern incarnation of the Lounge Lizard, but like literally shot into space. Like, why does this exist? I do not know, but I love every minute of it. It's like one of those rare aesthetics that we used to talk about in the 2010s. Like, this is the rarest of aesthetics. 30s jazz lounge on the moon. I'm there, baby. Call the Martini Police.
Okay, 6 minutes long. I'll just get it out of the way.
5:55, sir.
Yeah, you're right. That 5 seconds is really, that's by far, this is lyrically the best Lounge Lizard song. And you're right. In my journal, I wrote down in quotes, Martini Police, because I really feel like I want to see a Martini Policeman, or if not, that's what I'm going to be for Halloween this year. It just feels right.
It's such a vivid image.
Just go ahead and let's workshop out that costume, Sean. What's the Martini Police gonna have?
I feel like it's a policeman's uniform, but it has like, instead of like a crest, it has like an olive on a toothpick.
Yeah. On a server's tray.
And his whole like job is to make sure that you're having appropriately mixed martinis, but not too many of them.
And I think that there's got to be a little bit of drama with the Martini Police. Like, so, I mean, they're definitely all about having a good time and stuff, but when you order, like, the joke is somebody goes up to the bar and says, like, I want a Heineken, and they just, like, walk over and slap it out of their hands onto the ground.
No. There's not. It's not dramatic like that. They very discreetly.
Oh, they just like swap it out.
Away,
like you turn
and
your
martini
head,
appears
and
in front
there's martini in front of you now.
Yeah,
I can see that.
You know, Taylor talking about this really reminded me that Smash Mouth made an album called Astro Lounge, and I could have just used this as an excuse to pick a Smash Mouth song, and I'm so upset. I'm so upset.
Another concept album about bars in space. I'm telling you, Space Bar. Space Bar is the vibe. A little low gravity swing dancing, and maybe you drink your martini out of a pouch because it's on the moon. I don't know.
I think the Martini Police, all of them have to have, like, they must be experts at sleight of hand magic. Like, that's definitely a necessary thing. Like, they're always down for doing like a card trick or something at the bar.
So they're enforcing that you always have to have a martini. Just to be clear,
they're enforcing a good time.
Yeah, if somebody starts getting belligerent, they're going to discreetly remove them.
I want to say they operate more like some sort of good time bar KGB than they do like, Old Town Law Officer from the Wild West. Like you don't even realize they're there, like air marshals.
They're the classiest form of bouncer.
I don't even have anything to say about your song. I'm just too busy playing this plot out in my head now about what the Martini Police, how they operate.
Well, I mean, I think kind of as you I feel like said in your preamble, you kind of were like, I'm not really going for like the specific requirements for a lounge song. You didn't really, because this delivers literally none of like a smooth or silky performance in any way. This is sort of very crusty, echoey, distorted, which is like, I think it's also fun because you're kind of like, the song is sort of like talking about he's sort of forlorn, talking about like a better time or sort of like things that he's like sort of pining for, and like that's fine. So
he's
I would
a washed up lounge lizard.
Yeah, and so that's like fine.
Maybe he was a little too wild in the 70s.
Right.
2 shows a day, 4 nights a week.
Which, to be clear, the challenge was for currently being a lounge. So it doesn't mean if I get grilled for it, you get grilled for it. So, but I mean, I don't feel like I've ever really given Arctic Monkeys a chance.
This is not the place to start. This album sounds like nothing they've ever done before.
Not the place to start? Oh, okay. Well, then I guess I won't. I mean, is this song like the rest of the album?
Yes. If you like this song, this album is for you. It's truly like piano-based alt rock with some slight jazz influences about space.
This is its own thing. It's great in its that, so I don't know.
Sure, that's fine.
It's great in its own thing.
Wait, hold up. Did Sean just say it's great? Thank you.
In that it's not for this challenge, but just like my song.
No,
good
he never said it wasn't for this challenge. Don't put words in his mouth.
No, you're right. You're right. I'm just freewheeling.
Sean, did I make it? Did I slide in under the door of the challenge?
Yeah, no, you made it. Tyler made it. He just changed the. That's okay. So let's talk about this for a second, and then we'll go on to B-sides. Sometimes This is 139, and we can talk about this more on Billy Joe Armstrong. But sometimes when we have challenges that are like songs for a lounge lizard, they can go one of two ways, and that's like if with a lounge lizard, there is a defined set of attributes that make up a lounge lizard, right? Versus like having a song that's like best song for, eating a whole plate of pancakes too. Like when you have these fluctuating constraints all the time, it gets really difficult because, you are actively looking for music. I'm actively listening to music. I collect for this show all the time and basically just return to a playlist of like my go-to stuff that I've searched for. This one was, like you said, the stars did align for me on this one in terms of my process for picking this song because it doesn't always come that quickly. And sometimes I do have to stretch because I'm like, I don't have anything on the top of my mind that really is just like chugging a bottle of maple syrup. Like there's like nothing, there's no song for this. So how do I try and you do have to kind of work that skill set.
It's like creating synesthesia a lot of the time. It's a lot of musical synesthesia. Or like, how does a plate of pancakes taste as a song? Which maybe that's just in some ways we'll talk about it in the fucking.
Yeah, Billy Joe Armstrong. Yeah, check that out. We'll have all synesthesia and music. We'll talk a whole thing about it.
If you want to hear more of this, support us on Patreon. You'll get our bonus show, which we're recording right after this. But in the meantime, Sean, what are we doing now?
Now we're going to do B-sides. So this is the part where I ask, has anybody got some sweet ones?
I do. You'll be happy to know, Sean, that I did not choose the 15-minute jazz composition Midnight in Vermont by the Johnny Smith Quintet, which is amazing, but is 15 minutes long, and I knew Sean would kill me.
I can't believe that you think that you're like doing me a favor by not picking that song. If it's good, pick the 15-minute song. Just know that I'm going to come on here and say it right away and say, it was 15 minutes long. Was it necessary?
Yeah. Gotta hedge your bets.
Yeah. I also had Idle Moments by Grant Green, Round Midnight by Julie London, and Anything and Everything Ever Recorded by Richard Cheese, who I'm sure we will discuss on Billy Joe Armstrong's Middle School Notebook.
So kind of like how Sean was describing, sometimes you just kind of have to pull something out of nothing. And I feel like in some ways, Sean kind of picked some other fun songs previously, that would have probably worked good for this challenge. I think, what is it? Ain't Kali Uchis popular songs probably would have been good. I think that would be good. There's a few, like, I feel like Redbone might have worked by Childish Gambino. I think Pop Thieves might have also would have worked for it. There's also I did a little searching to see if anyone had talked about what had influenced Leave the Door Open, and I had found that there was like a compilation album called Sugar and Poison that has like just a solid stream of smooth, silky goodness. So I would just check that compilation album out. If you Google it, you'll find it.
The only other song I had on here, because I was looking for a modern song, was Travis Scott's Goosebumps. I thought that would be an interesting pick. It didn't fit as well as this song that I picked, but
no Travis Scott on the playlist yet. Well, Tyler, if people want to go on a wee date with you, where can they do that?
Oh, that would be great. You can find my design and illustration work at rudepets.club, and as always, you can find me on socials as rudepetsclub on Instagram and Twitter.
Sean, if they want to share a fillet with you, where can they do that?
My door will be open. You can find my Instagram at TellySean.
And if you also want to be one of the Strokes, you can tweet at me at TC Olmstead, and all of these songs will be on the official No Repeat podcast playlist. We're off right now to record our Patreon-exclusive bonus podcast, Billy Joe Armstrong's Middle School Notebook. It's kind of like a Watch What Happens Live for No Repeat as a podcast. You can get it just by supporting us for $1 or more a month on Patreon. The link will be in the show notes, and we'll be back next week with another episode of No Repeat.
I feel